G'day there ladies and gents, it's Connor here again from Marquee Industries, and we're back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe and all that stuff, and let's get straight to the stories. Alrighty, this one was originally posted on True Off My Chest. It's written by user WholePomegranate5342, and it's titled, My parents tried to screw over my dying stepmother, blew up all of our lives instead. Throwaway for obvious reasons. My, 17 female, stepmother, Jane, is a wonderful, wonderful woman. She and my father got married when I was 4, and she's been a rock in my life ever since. My mother was always my primary caregiver, but up until that point, her relationship with my father was acrimonious, and I basically never saw him. Jane was the reason they developed a stable co-parenting relationship. She encouraged everyone having a good relationship with each other and was always there to support me and my mum when things got rough. Jane was always a really hard worker. When she met my dad, he was living out of a hotel, and my mother was doing everything in her power to keep me away from him because she was petty and angry that their relationship didn't work out. Meanwhile, Jane had a great job, a nice house, helped my dad get back on his feet, negotiated a visitation schedule with my mum, who hated her for a long time, and made sure my dad sent us money every week because neither of them could afford an attorney to negotiate child support payments. Jane had no reason to do any of these things, but as I got older, she made it clear that she loved me as much as she loved my half-brothers who were born a few years later. I even have my own room in her house because at the time we lived with my grandparents and various boyfriends of my mum, and Jane felt that I needed a more stable environment than that. She's like the opposite of the evil stepmom. When I was 15, Jane won a big lawsuit against an airline company and got awarded upwards of $1 million. She used the money to build sizable trust funds for me and my brothers so that we would be taken care of later in life. Despite having a lot more money, she still wanted to live a fairly modest life, so she paid off the house she has and has been living there ever since with my dad. Sure, she bought a new car and they went on a few nice vacations, but she didn't blow all her money on stupid things, which I respected. About a year ago, things started getting really weird. Whenever I saw Jane, she seemed to look sicker and sicker, but no one would tell me or my brothers why, even though I know they knew. All we knew is that she was at the hospital a lot. Around the same time, my mum has been coming around my dad a lot more and acting really strange, basically like she was trying to romance him. Whenever Jane was in the hospital, my mother would insist on spending the night at their house and playing mum to my brothers, which was so weird to me because she never liked them or Jane. She'd be the perfect little housewife, and my mum is not like that at all. It was super fake. Worst of all, my dad started falling for it. I'm not stupid, I'm pretty sure they were sleeping together. I tried to shield my brothers from it, but they're not dumb either. I tried talking to my dad too, but he insisted it wasn't like that. Then, a few weeks ago, my mum started talking about all the places she'd like to visit, how she wanted a new car and was looking to invest. Which is weird because my mum has been a bartender her whole life and has lived paycheck to paycheck since before I was born. She was acting like she was about to get a lot of money, which started to make me really suspicious. Between Jane being sick and my mum acting all nouveau riche, I had a lot of questions. Finally, I decided to visit Jane in the hospital and ask her about my trust fund. I found out that if anything happened to her, that my dad would inherit all the money, including full control of the trusts for me and my brothers. She asked me why I was so interested in the trust fund, so I told her what's going on with my parents and how my mum has been acting with my dad. I didn't want to, but after everything she did for me, she deserved the truth. It really hurt me to break her heart like that, especially once I found out that she was basically in hospice at this point because of irreversible kidney failure. She's only got a few more months. We both cried so much. Then, 2 days ago, everything came to a head. My mum stormed in furious and started arguing with my dad. Apparently Jane met with her lawyer and changed the trust so that my dad would get nothing and all of the trusts would be controlled by my step-aunt. She demanded to know how Jane found out about their relationship, and I came out and told them that I told Jane everything. I told them that if they wanted to play stupid games, they would win stupid prizes, and that I wasn't going to let them screw Jane over after all the help she gave my family when she didn't have to. My mum slapped me, and my dad just looked so defeated. Then my mum told my dad that she didn't really love him, that she was just pretending to so he would marry her and she could get all of the money. The worst part about it is that my brothers witnessed the whole thing, and now, on top of their mum dying, they have to deal with a cheating dad and his vindictive ex. Our whole family is in ruins, and I feel like it's my fault, even though I know it's not. Yesterday, I visited Jane again and told her about the fallout. She apologized and said that she had to dissolve my trust fund to make sure my mother didn't get a hold of the money, but that as her oldest, I will inherit the house and property after she is gone, and that's worth more than the other two trust funds combined. My father won't get anything because she's going to divorce him before she dies, and honestly, I'm happy for her. She made me promise to take care of my brothers and told me that once I turn 18 this summer, I can kick my dad out of the house if I want to, and I fully plan to do that, by the way. I haven't talked to my dad since, and I can't even look at my mum. I can't believe they would conspire to do this to Jane after all this time. Just proof that they deserve each other, and I'm embarrassed that they're my parents. Once I turn 18, I'm going to cut my dad out as much as I can and cut my mum out completely. I hope she rots. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and be at the hospital as much as I can until Jane passes away. Anyways, I just needed to vent. I'm really messed up about the whole thing, and I feel super betrayed, although I can't even begin to imagine how Jane feels. I'm going to be so effed up when she dies. I can't even think about that right now, but at least she's not surrounded by people who just want to bring her down. Thanks for reading. Edit. Some people are asking a lot of the same stuff, so I'll just clarify here. My plan is to use some of the estate money to fight for guardianship for my twin brothers so that they can live in the house while I kick my dad out. If I can't get guardianship, then I'll have to let my dad stay in the house. However, once I turn 18, I will technically be an adult, so even if my dad leaves, I'm still legally able to be responsible for them. The only thing I won't be able to do is stop him from taking them if he leaves, but they'll be 18 in 6 years, so even if they do have to leave, they'll always be able to come back whenever they want. In a perfect world, my dad would just leave and let my brothers stay with me, which I'm sure my bio mum would be very supportive of because right now she hates all of us, and I doubt that will change anytime soon. The trust. From what I understand, my brothers will inherit 1/3 each of the estate, and the remaining 1/3 will be used to keep the house running until they turn 18. After that, it will be up to me if I want to keep the house or sell it. At that point, my brothers will still have money left in the trust, so they can branch out or do whatever they want. Otherwise, I will not sell the house and just pass it on to them or keep it and maintain it myself, and they can just stay with me as long as they need to. Edit to the edit. So I just spoke to Jane and she told me that the reason she dissolved the trust is because originally it was going to be split 3 times between us kids and my dad would inherit the house. She dissolved my third and switched it over to make it take care of the house maintenance and instead put the house in my name so my dad wouldn't get it. Plus by doing that, at least financially, I would be getting a much bigger share. The house is worth about 1.5 times the amount of my brother's trusts. I just wouldn't be able to do anything with it until my brothers are 18, which I'm totally cool with. Sorry if I don't have a better answer, but I'm just trying to translate what she told me. And my parents. The big fight happened on Sunday, and I haven't spoken to either of my parents since. I think they're both at my mum's place right now, but that's fine with us because we're all still mad at them, so they can stay gone for all we care. I know technically that's not legal to just leave us alone, but I've been taking care of my brothers for over a year. I can handle a few days while he gets his crap together. Screw both of them. Hope that clears some stuff up. Yeah, that's it. Screw both of them. I'm glad Jane's got OP on her side though. It must be so heartbreaking to learn that people are just conspiring against you as you lay there dying. I would say that money just does strange things to people, but that's just no excuse whatsoever. And in this case, it feels like more than that. Let's go to the comments. I'm so sorry you're going through such a hard time, OP. The most important thing you've inherited from Jane is a strong moral compass. You could have taken the easy road and ignored everything your mum and dad were doing, but your compassion to Jane is proof you take after her the most. OP replies, "Thanks a lot. Yeah, when my mum was yelling at me, she asked why I couldn't keep my mouth shut and mind my business, and I told her, because Jane raised me better than that, and that's when she slapped me. I feel like she's always been threatened by Jane, and that was just proof." You poor thing. Take the time you have left with her and make sure your brothers do too. Grief is a powerful thing to go through, and you all need each other. I'd go no contact with your bio mum and put in place a boundary that she's not to step foot near your home. What she did was downright cruel. If your dad didn't realize his mistake in that moment and still pines for the rhymes with which, then he's proved his worth. I'll leave you with this. The brightest stars burn the fastest, so we must love them while we can. Opie adds a bunch of additional information in the comments and answers some comments. Why isn't Jane on dialysis? I don't remember the exact details, but Jane has a genetic condition where she gets cysts on her kidney. She already had a transplant a few years ago, but now she's developed problems with her arteries or something in her legs, so she doesn't qualify for dialysis. She could get another transplant, but she doesn't want to because the last time was so traumatic, rejections, etc. So she decided to just let herself go onto maintenance medications to prolong her death until she gets her affairs in order. She has a few other health problems that make the typical treatments really dangerous, and according to her, she'd rather die surrounded by loved ones than on an operating table. Dissolving the trust fund. Jane told me she didn't technically have to do it, but she didn't trust my biological parents not to do something shady and get a hold of the money before I turn 18. Even if my aunt controlled the fund, my dad would still be able to collect it if something happened to Jane before I turn 18. Her lawyer suggested it's better safe than sorry, and I agreed that it was the best option. I'm not an expert though, I don't know the details. How my mum knew. Like I said before, I'm pretty sure Jane told my dad, who then told my mum, and that's how the argument started. I can't think of any other way, and I didn't really care enough to ask. Jane's thoughts on my mum. She didn't know my mum was doing all of that. My mum has her own place and would only come over whenever Jane was in the hospital for a few days at a time. I've been living with my dad for a little over a year, so he probably told Jane that my mum was there to spend time with me, if he told her at all. Besides, she didn't move in until a few months ago, which I guess is when they started hatching their plan. Jane never outright banned my mum from visiting, so there really wasn't anything she could do. Hope that helps. Edit for the last part. The remainder of the money belonging to the estate that hasn't been put into trust for my brothers is going to be used to maintain the house, utilities, taxes, etc. until my brothers are 18, and then I can either choose to sell the house or keep it and maintain it myself if I'm able to. I plan to go to school in that time and get a better job with the goal of keeping the house, but if I can't, then I have the option to sell it. Not that I will, but that's how it was explained to me. Opie comments on her stepmom and their relationship and provides thoughts on her biological mum. Honestly, it's because she's more of a real mum than my actual mum. My bio mum is kind of ambiguous about my existence, but Jane was always extra involved, sending me to sports teams and paying for dance classes and just showing interest in my hobbies as I got older. Plus, as the only girl, I think we bonded on a level she can't with my brothers, so she always made sure to let me know I was on equal terms with them. When I was younger, we would watch movies and have girl time where it was just us one-on-one, and those are some of my best memories with her. Jane is also really mature and someone I want to be like when I get older, whereas it feels like my mum is a teenager in an adult's body. She was constantly picking fights with my dad about dumb things, and Jane was always there to smooth things over and keep my best interests at heart over her own feelings. I know my mum made Jane's life really difficult for a long time, but Jane never complained or said anything to me about it, whereas my mum constantly complained about Jane. As I got older, I just always felt more at peace when I was around Jane than when I was around my mum. If you want your stepkids to love you, just be there for them and treat them like your own. Ignore whatever drama you have with your husband's ex and just love your kids. Trust me, if you really care about them, they'll know. Someone comments, "My only advice is make sure you work with a lawyer once she passes so you get your inheritance and your parents can't try to intervene, and then you keep your promise to use that money for you and your brother's welfare." Opie says, "Oh, absolutely. Jane already gave me the lawyer's info, and between him and my step-aunt, I'm sure I'll be able to do what I need to do for them. I don't even care about the money. Most people don't have trust funds and turn out just fine. I'm actually more glad that she gave me the house, because you can be damn sure it's going to be a safe space for my brothers, whether I end up getting custody of them or not. My brothers are basically Jane's legacy, so my goal is to give them the life and guidance that I got from her, and that they won't get because she'll be gone." Opie comments on the relationship between her father and her stepmom before they got exposed. Honestly, it hurts a lot because before Jane got sick, they seemed to have the perfect relationship, until my birth giver, I like that, came in and messed everything up with her toxic personality. Honestly, in a perfect world, my mum will end up broken alone and in a crappy nursing home with bed sores, and when she calls me and begs me for a relationship because she needs the attention, it'll feel so good to hang up on her over and over again. On Jane's health and if Jane is mentally okay of the whole situation. I think so. Apparently it's a genetic disease, so she always knew she was going to get sick. She just didn't know when, so mentally I think she was prepared for it. I just hope that she can find peace knowing the truth and knowing that I'll be there to make sure her sons don't grow up all messed up. Opie comments on her brothers getting therapy to deal with their mum and stepmum's health and her imminent death. Yeah, I've already sat them down and talked to them about what's going on. They seem to understand, but they're understandably really sad about the whole thing. I told them that when they go to school, they should ask about a grief counsellor, and I'm trying to get their health insurance info from Jane so I can find them a therapist for kids. As much as all of this sucks, I think it's brought the three of us a lot closer together. Thanks a lot. I really love my brothers, and I know it's my job to take care of them properly now that they won't have a mum around. Jane did so much to raise me, and my brothers won't have the opportunity, so it's only right that I help them. Since finding all of this out, my plan has always been to have my brothers live with me. I'm already in charge of taking care of them and the house for the most part. The only thing my dad does is help pay the bills. Unfortunately, I won't be able to kick my dad out as long as he's their legal guardian, which is why I'm trying to find some other solution to that. But if and when that gets resolved, he can live under a bridge for all I care. Alrighty guys, now let's go to an update. 3 months later. Hi guys, it's me again. A lot of you asked me for an update on my situation with Jane and my family, so I've come back with a few things that have happened since I initially posted. I'll try to organise this in a way that addresses the major points of last time. Jane is still alive and doing surprisingly well considering the circumstances. She's always been a fighter, and although her disease has been progressing, she's keeping a positive attitude with everything that's going on. She says she's grateful that she was able to see everyone's true colours before she passed, so she could go into the next life knowing the truth. We have become so unbelievably close in the past few months, and it's getting harder and harder to know that she's getting close to the end. She doesn't ever talk about it though, and I know it's because she doesn't want to hurt me, but we both know the situation, so we're just making the best of our time. I'm also not being completely transparent about all of the drama at home, but to be honest, I don't think she needs to hear all of that. We did end up having that surprise celebration of life that I planned. A lot more people showed up than I thought, but they all got an Airbnb near the hospital where Jane is, and we were able to take her out and spend some time at the lake near the facility. It was super low-key, which I know Jane preferred, and I was even able to get her old college friend to come after I found him on LinkedIn, lol. We had food and there was music and we played games and it was overall a really great time. Except Jane started crying at the end, but she promised me it was just because she was grateful. My brothers are also doing okay. My aunt, Jane's sister, is currently paying for them to go to therapy, and they've become a lot more open about talking about the situation. They just turned 13, but a lot of the time it feels like I'm talking to actual adults, lol. They've become really independent lately, in a good way, and aside from me driving them places, I don't really have to do much for them anymore. Their grades aren't super great, but they're not failing, and considering the circumstances, it could be a lot worse. They still hang out with friends, and I'm keeping an eye out for depression symptoms and stuff. The situation with my mum is as funny as it is embarrassing, to be honest. She spent a few weeks ignoring us, and then she tried to crawl back into my life, basically begging me to let her move in because her lease is about to expire, and she has nowhere to go. That convo went about as well as you'd think, and she ended up calling me an ungrateful B-word, and that I couldn't just ignore her because she's my mum. I told her to get out of the house before I call the cops and to go back to my dad, who at that point was only coming home every few days to check on us and grab some clothes. After that, she tried coming by a few times, and when I wouldn't open the door, she would lose her mind and start yelling through the neighbourhood. After 3 instances of this, I finally called the cops, but because I'm 17, they told me there's a possibility that I would have to go home with her, since technically I'm a minor and need to be with a custodial parent. I told them no way, because I was the only one watching my brothers at the moment. That led to a whole thing where after a few hours, my dad basically showed up, and I was allowed to stay there because there was finally an adult present, and I'd basically lived there for over a year. After that, the cops firmly told my mum that if she keeps showing up and causing drama, my neighbours confirmed that she'd been there a few times screaming, that they would arrest her for trespassing since technically it was Jane's house and not hers. She left and hasn't tried coming to the house anymore, but for a while she would call me, constantly telling me I owed her and all kinds of stuff. She's now blocked on everything, and anything she needs to say to me gets filtered through my dad. As for my dad, well, since he's basically required to be here for another 2 months until I turn 18, we've basically just avoided each other. It's not too bad though, because I've been heavily relying on guilting him for everything to get my way. For example, he was going to contest the divorce, but I threatened to kick him out when I turn 18 if he does that, so he just signed all the paperwork for a quickie divorce and is basically doing whatever Jane tells him to do. I don't openly disrespect him or anything, he's still my dad, but I've made it clear that I have no intentions on doing anything he says ever again, and he doesn't fight me on it. Most of the time he's just in his room, and sometimes he'll go back to my mum's, but only for a day or two before they argue and she kicks him out again, lol. I haven't decided whether or not I'll kick him out yet, and we haven't talked about it either, so I'm kind of playing it by ear. As for me, I'm handling everything as good as I can. I found a new job where I make a little more money, so I've been focusing on saving as much as I can, and just being there for my brothers. Between working and school and visiting Jane, I've been so busy I haven't really had the time to stop and think about everything, but I know it'll come. One of my friends has really stepped up and helped me manage everything, and I'm super grateful to him for being there for me and my brothers, so we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I wish I had something more exciting to share, but that's what happened since my last post. Thanks again for all the support on my last post. Opie comments on the possibility of her stepmom being poisoned from her parents to get Jane's money. Hi there. A few people have mentioned this, and yes, we are absolutely certain she's not being poisoned. It's a genetic disease causing her kidney failure, and we've known about it for a long time, but she shielded us from the worst of it, hence why her sudden decline in health was such a shock to us. We thought she had more time. My brothers have also been screened for this disease, and thankfully neither of them have it. I'm turning 18 in a few weeks, so I don't need to get emancipated, and my dad has already agreed that my brothers will stay in the house with me because they have nowhere else to go. Opie comments on Jane making video clips for her brothers. Yes, actually a few people suggested this on my last post, and we've been doing this for a few weeks now. Jane has a little digital recorder that she's been putting her thoughts down on, and she's also written a few letters to us for major milestones. My brothers do not know about this as we want to surprise them, but that said, they have been coming to the hospital more now that they're in therapy and able to deal with it. I know they do not want to have any regrets, even though it's a difficult situation. Opie on her father after being exposed and her biological mum trying to manipulate him. I do think he's remorseful. He hasn't said it, but the way he's acting is telling me that. He's being really passive when normally he gets a little belligerent if he really feels like he didn't do anything wrong. Also, I know I have every reason to kick him out, but he's still my dad, even though what he did to Jane was terrible. He's just kind of a weak-minded person, and my bio mum really manipulated the crap out of him and continues to manipulate him, but I can tell he's getting tired of her BS because he's spending less time with her. He didn't know she was showing up at the house, and when he found out, he was super ticked at her. They've been fighting non-stop, and I can tell he's not as much under her spell anymore because he's at home more, but who knows. Okay guys, now for a final update, 7 months later. Hello everyone, it's me again. I've gotten quite a few messages in the past months asking for an update, so I'm going to post my final update here and hope that it's enough to answer the questions everyone has been asking. I'm sorry that it took so long to update, but a lot has been going on. As many of you may already assume, Jane passed away early fall of this year. It was very traumatic and sudden, but the silver lining is that she exceeded every doctor's expectation for her life, and when she did go, she was surrounded by family, including me, my brothers, and my dad. She was on palliative care and felt no pain except for a brief moment right at the end, and we're all very grateful for that. Towards the end, Jane was physically pretty much done, but her mind was as sharp as ever. I took the advice of many of you here and recorded some voice notes for my brothers. I originally wanted to do video, but by the time we were able to do it, we both decided they didn't need to remember her wrapped in tubes and in a hospital gown. She also wrote many letters for her friends, family, and even for me to open when I reached certain milestones. She gave me one to open right after she passed away, and while I won't share too many details, I can say with absolute certainty that she is and forever will be who I consider my mother, without question. It was very, very emotional for everyone, and although it's been a few months, I'm still very heartbroken about her no longer being with us. She was a kind, gentle woman, and in my heart, she is who I aspire to be. My brothers are obviously very hurt about our mum dying, but just like before, they're taking it surprisingly well. They are still going to therapy, both together and separately, and we have a lot of conversations whenever they feel like talking. We've always been close, but I feel like we're closer now. Even though I work, we hang out as often as we can, and I'm doing everything I can to be the support that they need. They don't know it, but I definitely need them as much as they need me, because they're the only ones I can really talk to about anything. Ironically, now that our family glue is gone, we're pulling together stronger than before. My dad and I mended the fences, so to speak. We went to a few therapy sessions together where he took full responsibility for his behaviour, and I've forgiven him as much as I can, especially since he eventually started doing everything he could to be there for Jane at the end, even though they still went through the divorce. He's still living with us, and things are a little tense, but they're much better than before. He's my dad, and I love him, but he was also broken by Jane's condition, and he wasn't able to cope in a healthy manner. Her dying really brought some light into his eyes, so to speak, and now he's really stepping up to be the man he was supposed to be. A lot of people commented saying, too little too late, but again, he's my dad, and for my own mental health, I have chosen to forgive him. As far as I know, my biological mum pretty much vanished off the face of the earth when I turned 18. She tried a few times to convince me to let her live with us, but I wasn't having any of it. Even my dad told her he's officially done, and after we all blocked her on everything, she stopped reaching out. She doesn't have any relatives who talk to her, so I don't have to worry about that. But I did hear from people who follow her on Facebook that she has a new boyfriend that she's living with. I don't want to stalk her or anything, I don't really care. She hasn't come to me with any kind of apology, so to be honest, she can get bent. It's a little hard for me to think that she'd just walk away the second I turned legal, just because she didn't get any of Jane's money. But oh well, true colours and all of that. Guess 18 years was too long to pretend to care. I'm just so angry with her, I don't want anything to do with her anymore. Maybe that will change one day, but I'm not holding my breath. As for me, I'm doing pretty okay. I decided to take a year before I start college to handle all of this bullcrap, and I'm still at my same job, so I'm saving up money wherever I can. My friends have all been great supporters, and I'm so grateful for everyone, especially you Reddit folks, who have been checking in on me and making sure I'm okay. I'm taking things one day at a time, and that's been working great to keep me focused. My goal is to go to college next year and study journalism, but I'm playing it by ear. I can always go back to school, but right now, my family needs me, and if that takes longer than a year, then so be it. Thank you everyone. This will be my last update, and I very much appreciate all the love and support you've shown our family. Jane, I know, was very grateful for all of you too, and all I can say is, hold your loved ones tight, and be careful of anyone who seems too good to be true. Much love and blessings to you all. And some final comments. Opie should make sure her father is in therapy in order to deal with the unresolved issues he had. I understand why you'd feel this way, but the therapy is ongoing. He's actually insisting on it, and he's going to individual therapy as well. We all are. The goal isn't to fix him as much as it is to help us all cope with each other and what happened. I think Jane dying broke us all in a way that won't ever be fixed. One commenter says, I'm thinking looking from the outside in, it's easy to hate the dad. He did something awful and basically got away with it. He got rid of the crazy ex, still has his daughter, and gets to live in the house of the woman he severely betrayed. I understand OP, and I don't know if I'd have the heart to kick my dad out and stay mad, but it's still a sour ending for me. Because of the dad, Jane's final moments were tainted. I mean, the woman was on the brink of death having to deal with a divorce. She deserved better, and the one who harmed her just gets to move on. OP replies, if it's any consolation, Jane and my dad made their peace a few weeks before she died. Yes, he did something awful to her, but they were in love for many, many years, and that doesn't just go away because of one trifling bee. So I wouldn't say her final moments were tainted. She wanted him there, and he was there, and I think she passed knowing she was loved by everyone present. My dad definitely took her passing really hard, to a point where I know it's not an act. I think that's worth something. Plus, he's going to carry this guilt around until the day he dies. Please make sure your dad knows not to bring women around your house, just in case. You and your brothers do not need to see him date anytime soon, and definitely not in his ex-wife's home. Opie says, trust me, after this he's not interested in dating anymore. He really loved our mum, and after my bio mum pulled her BS, I think he's completely done. He's got a lot to recover from too, which I think a lot of people forget. Not only did he lose his wife of 15 years, but he fell for the lies of someone he thought loved him too, and trusted someone who ended up hurting him and his kids. I know he feels terrible about the whole thing, which makes it easier to forgive him. Who has control over the money Jane left for her children? Does your father have access to it? Is it possible that his attitude only changed because he's expecting to gain access to the money Jane left? He might still be secretly involved with your biological mum and only pretending to change his behaviour as a way to get closer to Jane's money. Opie says, for a while I did honestly think this. However, shortly after Jane died, I found out he was looking into apartments to move into. When I confronted him about it, he said that he was trying to be respectful and assumed I wouldn't want to have anything to do with him, so he was preparing just in case. I think the fact that he wasn't parading his plan around in front of me to try and get brownie points says a lot. That and the fact that he's been very involved in our therapy gives me a lot of hope. I understand a lot of people have had bad experiences, but like I've been saying, my dad isn't a bad person. He's just stupid. Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that story. Wow, there's a lot to unpack there, but I really feel bad for OP in the end. And Jane for obvious reasons, of course, but yeah, it'd be hard to cut off a parent like that when you've just pretty much lost one. I guess depending on how you look at it, you could view it as a bad ending or a good ending. I think some people are kind of catastrophizing it a little bit. I trust Opie's judgment that she thinks there is hope for her dad, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Anyway guys, we're going to leave that story there and move on to another one. Okay, we're over on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user New Material, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for not dropping out of a house party despite it making my ex's new fiancé uncomfortable? My ex, 27 male, and I, 26 female, split 2 years ago. We met through my best friend, who worked in the same theatre as him then, and the reason we broke up was because he didn't think we were working anymore. It was pretty amicable. I didn't put up a fight or anything, but I strongly believed there was no reason for us to be friends anymore. That always causes problems. But I'm still friendly with his friends, and I make small chat if I run into his parents. We live in a pretty close-knit environment. Don't ask me how, we live in a city, but most of my friends and his come from either the same uni or have a common hobby, or we roam around the same circles, and we definitely see each other once or twice every other couple of months. My ex has a fiancé now, and I am happy for them. I have never met her, and till now I thought this didn't matter or anything. We're all adults, or so I think. One of his closest friends, Peter, just bought a house. I'm friends with his girlfriend, and we're both invited to the housewarming. I didn't think anything of it. However, my ex texted me yesterday, after like a year, albeit very politely, that maybe I could skip the housewarming as he was bringing his fiancée, and she will feel uncomfortable. I was pretty weirded out by his wording, so I called him. He said his fiancée feels uncomfortable that I would be anywhere close to him, and the fact that they both feel like I sometimes intrude into their social gatherings just to prove I'm better than her to his friends. I got pretty mad hearing him say these things, and I asked him in what way. We are not friends, and I stopped hanging out with his friends the moment we broke up to not make things difficult for him. There were a lot of people in his circle I became close to, but I stepped away, just so that things weren't awkward for any future partner. And how was it my fault? My ex explained 2 of his friends didn't like or respect his girlfriend and thought her an airhead, and so did his parents. Our circles are, I admit, full of literature and theatre people, and I admit some of them can be pretentious. Again, I told them that was him being a spineless boyfriend and not my problem. I told my ex strongly that both Peter and his girlfriend are my friends, and I would be going to their housewarming, and his relationship issues are not my problem. I've blocked him now, and his fiancée sent a long text on how she was sorry, but now I was apparently being vindictive, and how did it matter if I didn't go to her housewarming? She asked me to not make any drama and please respect her. I didn't reply and blocked her. My friends are ticked at my ex, and I haven't told my friend or Peter any of it yet. I think maybe I could have handled it another way. Am I the a-hole? Nah, I think Opie's right. Yeah, his relationship issues are not her problem anymore. Like seriously, grow up. On to the comments. OP gives context on her relationship to Peter and his girlfriend. Peter's girlfriend and I have been friends for a long time. We were even roommates for 8 months. Technically, I'm a closer friend to Peter than my ex is, even though they're college friends, because of my fiance's antics, and Pete and another one of his close friends are drifting away from my ex because he insists on bringing her everywhere and they don't like her. Out of all my ex's friends, it's only Pete I'm close to, mainly because of his girlfriend. Plus, his girlfriend and Pete met through me, so I'm a very close part of their friend group. Which is why I was ticked at my ex, because I can understand if he was telling me to skip his best friend's party. Telling me to skip one of my closest friend's housewarming for his fiancée who people don't like there sounded so stupid. One comment says, not the a-hole, but you should tell Peter and his girlfriend, your ex and his fiancée are dicks. It's not your job to manage their emotions or insecurities. If she's uncomfortable, then she should stay home. I agree. Peter should be told before the ex has a chance to spin this and make OP the bad guy. OP replies, Peter is one of those people who doesn't like her. Our circle is mainly filled with people who mix within a certain type of bookish thinking. Plus, Peter and another one of my ex's friends thinks she's anti-intellectual. Most of my ex's friends are like that, theatre people or really pretentious a-holes. Peter doesn't like her more because he thinks my ex was stupid to break up with me and couldn't handle it if I was doing better than him. Their friendship is already on thin ice, and I don't want to be the reason it breaks. Quote, I was apparently being vindictive, and how did it matter if I didn't go to a housewarming? Call me a cynic, but the fiancé is being vindictive, and how does it matter if she or your dickhead ex don't go to a housewarming? Unblock her and text her back. Your insecurities are not my problem to fix. If the housewarming isn't that important, then you and your ex are welcome to sit this one out. I'll be celebrating my friend's next step into the future with them. Then block her. Not the a-hole, you've handled everything fine. This is their issue, not yours. Anytime you're at the same location as them, obviously avoid them at all costs. And I would really minimize speaking about them at all. The more you can firmly say, I don't think or talk about you, the better. Oh, and the irony. Everything she said to you goes right back at her. You've done nothing in this scenario. It's your ex's request that's creating the drama. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, on to an update. Thank you for all the lovely suggestions in my previous post, which is why I'm doing an update. I did go to the party. Honestly, after reading that, yes, my ex had in fact lost his mind. I decided not to bother Peter or his girlfriend, my friend, and just go about and mind my business. It's not like my ex and his fiancée would come and scream the house down on seeing me. Again, I guess I didn't mention in my last post, and the reason I was more mad at my ex was because I have a very serious boyfriend. The idea that my ex's fiancée would think I'd go anywhere to spite my ex, despite having a boyfriend, was really insulting. We went to the housewarming, and I ignored them. I don't care, we're all adults, and I'm not going to feel drama. And my ex and his fiancée, her especially, made a fool of themselves, and at some point, even I felt bad because I saw how desperate she was for my ex's friends to respect her, or take any one of her sentences seriously. Whoever she tried to talk to ignored her, or straight up walked away. Again, Peter and my ex's friend are a different group, and I'm not friends with them. But the way my ex let his friends treat his fiancée made my blood boil. I mostly hung out with my friends, Peter's girlfriend's friend group, and I didn't speak or look at my ex once. One time he said hi, and my boyfriend said hello back, and we didn't see him near us for the rest of the night. His fiancée just asked me if my dress wasn't a bit too modest, and Peter told her everyone there followed the dress code, casual, elegant. Don't ask me, I didn't make the rules, but she didn't. My boyfriend already loathes my ex, so we did not mingle near them again. Overall, I had a good time. We even got to leave early and have some more time to ourselves, watched a movie, and had a good time at home. However, what ticked me off was how much of a crappy fiancé he was, and how much his fiancée was trying to fit in, and failing, and he wouldn't even help her. My boyfriend isn't just a bookish person, and he doesn't fit in with some pretentious people either, and he is very blunt, so some people don't like him. Plus, he loves video games and comics, and has hobbies, trekking and diving, which scare me, but we compromise and learn to adjust to each other's interests. Plus, if someone treats my boyfriend even a little like how they treat my ex's fiancée, I'd cut them off, no questions asked. And I'm already low contact with a few friends who judged and made comments about him in the past. I really hope she leaves him, if she has any dignity, or he gets his crap together. All in all, not my problem. Yeah, I think that last statement pretty much sums up this whole story. Not your problem. But the way Opie writes the people in this story, they all sound unbearable to be around. I don't know, maybe that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Anyway, folks, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.